It is time now for the Scramble podcast in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I am Paul Hollingsworth alongside my broadcast and podcast partner, Chris Flynn, Canadian Football Hall of Famer. He's in Long Lake, Quebec. And Chris, we have a very special guest today, Danny Maciocia, General Manager of the Montreal Alouettes, the Grey Cup champion Montreal Alouettes. Danny, welcome to our show. Very grateful for your time. When I say Grey Cup champion Alouettes, you respond how? It must fill your heart. It must fill your soul.
Well, it sounds great. I don't think it's sunk in just yet, but it sounds great. There's no question about it. And when I take a look back and grew up being an Alouette fan, and it came, I assisted my first Grey Cup in '77 with my dad here. Did volunteer work in '96, '97. Spent 2 years of my life in this organization trying to establish myself. And it was a little bit of it was like a 6 year run. And then I had to leave for Edmonton, stayed out there for about 9 and then with University of Montreal. So, it took about 20 some odd years for me to get back here. When I left in '02, I didn't think it was going to take so long for me to get back here. And, there was some unfinished business when I did leave because we had lost a Grey Cup in 2000 to the BC Lions in Calgary. And this has been probably the only place in my hometown that I wasn't able to win a championship, and not to have come here under not ideal circumstances, I must admit, with everything that we've experienced here over the last 12 months, and to win a championship is surreal, I would say.
Chris, you go ahead. You lead us off. Ask Danny all the questions you want because I know both of us were really excited about having him as a guest.
Well, just my first question, Danny, is just from the other day. Like a lot of people, I watched the parade pep rally on Wednesday, and it wasn't even the nicest day. It was rainy and chill, a little bit rainy and chilly out, but the turnout, the crowd that showed up, to celebrate you guys, the job that Montreal, the city, did to put on this pep rally parade for you guys. It was amazing for me to watch on television. I just wanted to get your feedback from you and the team, the players, the families of the players. What kind of experience was that for you guys?
Well, obviously Anthony Cavillo was talking it up a little bit when we were traveling back from Hamilton after we won the game, and he was telling everybody this is an event you guys definitely don't want to miss, and especially with American Thanksgiving just around the corner, the message was directed to the American players. You may want to hang out in Montreal for a couple of more days because he was talking about his previous experiences with this Grey Cup parade. And it's like everything else, Chris. The only way you appreciate it is that you have to live it. You have to experience it. And having gone through it, it surpassed my expectations of what, a typical Grey Cup parade should look like. And especially in the city of Montreal. And there must have been about, I thought there was about 25,000 people. There's Mark Waitman, our team president, told me there was a closer to 35, 40.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And, even throughout throughout the parade, I know that when it was coming to a conclusion, I sort of turned to Mark and I said, "Hey, Mark, can we just do another turn of the block?" Well, I said I would definitely appreciate that if we can do it. But it was unbelievable, unbelievable. You felt the passion, you felt the excitement, and Chris, for us, we want to expand on our fan base, and I think this is a great opportunity to do it with this win and with the festivities that we've experienced here over the last couple of days.
Yeah, and saying that, I read a few articles too. There was fans at the parade that were wearing like Montreal Canadiens jerseys or whatever NFL jerseys. They're like, man, we're going to buy some Montreal Alouette jerseys and we're going to the games next year. So it's amazing what winning does, right? You can have all the best marketing, but winning does a lot. And just the way you guys won the game was just unbelievable. It was one of the most awesome Grey Cup finishes of all time. And one other quick question I want to ask you before I get to Paul is just, you guys didn't just have a great playoff run. You actually won your last 8 games in a row. You lost, I think, a couple of games to Toronto kind of mid-season, and then you went on a run. Was there a moment where you yourself thought, once you kind of got on that winning streak, like, hey, like we can do this. We could go all the way here. This team's got something going. Was there a moment kind of that you had towards the end of the season?
I would say it started the turn for us with the acquisitions of Lemon and Sankey. When they came in here, what we wanted to do was add some whiskers, add some experience, add some grit, add some leadership to this football team. And they were able to provide all of the above. And it was contagious. It just didn't spread amongst the defensive players, it spread amongst the football team. And we got on a little bit of a run, and there was this belief internally that even though people didn't think we can potentially make some noise in postseason play, we felt pretty good about our situation. And we started to get a few players back that were nicked up earlier on in the season. And like I said, this belief was so strong that we were caught up in a few difficult football games that went to the wire, especially the one in Ottawa where, we knew we would have to win a couple of games this year with a backup quarterback. I think you always prepare to win a couple of games with your backup quarterback, and Evans was able to pull it off by scoring with about, 10 or 12 seconds left on the clock. And then there was this belief that, if we can just keep it together, if we can just keep playing our best football the second half of the season, if we can get on a little bit of a run and get momentum on our side, well, as well as I do, once you get into postseason play and this great game that we're a part of, it's not a best of 7 series. You just have to be the best football team on that one particular day, and in particular 3 hours. Then anything is possible, and that's how it all unfolded.
Late in that fourth quarter, Danny, we're in the final minute. Fajardo drops back, and Rod Smith, the play-by-play announcer, says, "This could be it." And I look at the middle of the field, and there's no safety in the middle of the field. So I think that's called a cover zero. So all of a sudden, you get a quick concept of how the play is unfolding. Were you put your coaching hat on and your GM hat on and your Alouettes fan hat on in that split second? When you watch that play unfold, are you surprised? Because that was a big moment, big play. I was expecting more of a Cody Fajardo sort of grind, run up the field. And this was like one of those Joe Montana moments right before our very eyes. I didn't see it coming. It was wonderful to absorb and consume, but I was also surprised by it. What was your take on that moment?
Well, if we're making reference to the last play on the scoring play, so I mean, I'm upstairs in the what they describe as a GM booth, and I'm watching this, and the ball's on the 20. There's about 20 some odd seconds. And I'm thinking, well, they're going to play zone. They're going to let us set the ball underneath, rally, tackle, and force us to kick a field goal and take this game into overtime. Well, it just didn't work out that way because we had a formation that we had called, and we had a personnel grouping that gave us also maximum pass protection. And as the play is unfolding, I'm starting to see their defensive backs coming down, and they're close to the line of scrimmage, and I'm seeing the middle of the field wide open. So, like Coach Moss always has whatever concept he always has someone going through the middle of the field to fill that cavity. And I'm thinking now, I don't know which receiver it's going to be, but I know that one receiver is going to go through the middle of the field and fill that cavity. It just happened to be the receiver to the short side of the field in Philpott. So when he dropped back, we were able to pick up the blitz, and the furthest defender, we had enough time to set our feet up for Cody to set his feet, transfer his weight, and throw the ball downfield. And we were able to get inside of the corner with Philpott and score. But I didn't think that was going to be a possibility because I was more than convinced that they were going to get us to try to settle the ball down underneath, rally, and take the game into overtime. But when that middle of the field opened up and they tried to bring one more than we can protect, and we were able to get the time required to get that ball thrown to the middle of the field. That was textbook execution in my mind.
And a quick word on Cody Fajardo. We know his history in Saskatchewan. He thought at one point this past offseason he was going to retire. He was, I think, in his own words, an unwanted quarterback in the CFL, at least for a short period of time. You take a chance on him. Your head coach brings him into the fold. He not only works out, he turns into a poster child of a great champion and a great championship moment in Alouettes /CFL history. There's that Pierre Maguire on the hockey side that always says great players elevate at the most crucial times. Did you think Cody had this in him? Was this your belief set on him long before you thought you win a Grey Cup? Did you see him as this sort of player on that sort of stage?
Well, I can't say that, I didn't think he wasn't capable because he lost two Western finals. That's right. Which one he hits the upright or the crossbar on a throw that's designed to go into the end zone, and when you watch the highlights, you see that there's a receiver that's uncovered. So chances are things can possibly work out for him in that game and maybe go to a Grey Cup game. But we went back and watched every single throw over 3 years, Jason and I, and we felt pretty good about it. And we felt like the environment that we were going to create here, the culture that we were in the process of creating would fit someone like him. And I remember when I called him up and I said, life is not what you accomplish. Life is what you overcome. And I said, what you've been through the last 2 years in Saskatchewan is not going to define who you are as a person nor who you are as a football player. I said, just take a look. I just took a chance on your former offensive coordinator and gave him a head coaching job. So if it's good enough for him, then it's good enough for you. And I said, I don't want you to do this for 1 year. I want to offer you a 2-year deal. I feel we can get it done here together. If you believe that you want to embark on this journey, on this special project, then I think, it might be worthwhile for all of us. And the conversation didn't need to go longer than 10, 15 minutes. Before you know it, I'm on the phone with his agent, and possibly 24 hours later, we got a deal, and here we are.
It's amazing. Chris, I have one last question, but you go ahead and as you start to wrap up, you can ask your last question to Danny.
And I'll also mention his speech the night before the game is becoming legendary too. But
absolutely.
I just want my last question, Danny, is actually for the University of Montreal, who you won a Vanier Cup with in 2014. I'm sure you're very close to all the guys on the team still. And the chances of a Montreal sweep this weekend, Grey Cup and Vanier Cup. I just wanted to get your quick thoughts on, which is kind of a Vanier Cup rematch, right? UBC and University of Montreal. I just want to get your quick thoughts on that game this Saturday in Kingston.
Well, I'm so excited for it that tomorrow morning, myself, Jason Moss, and Anthony Cavill, we're gonna drive down to Kingston and catch the game. And obviously, where my allegiances are whom they're with. I mean, they're going to be with the University of Montreal. But I'm looking forward to watching both teams compete. Montreal, this is probably, if one of the, I think it's probably the best addition, Canadian addition that I've seen here over the last little while. I mean, they've got some kids, and they can keep this together for at least 2 more years, because there's not too many kids that are draft eligible here after this season. And obviously UBC's got their offensive line play, which is pretty interesting. They've got a couple of kids there that could be first round picks, in my opinion. So I'm probably thinking that we're going to get ourselves a good, pretty good football game. But wouldn't it be something if we can bring the Vanier Cup and just line it up right next to the Grey Cup and have the city of Montreal enjoy it?
That would be wonderful. And last question for me, Danny. We'll let you get on with your day. Look, I told you before we started recording this that I'm a lifelong Alouettes fan. I'm a realistic Alouettes fan. I didn't see this coming, respectfully. I knew we had a good team. The Alouettes had a good team this year. I knew you'd beat Hamilton in the first round of the playoffs. I just knew that. I thought it was possible to beat Toronto, but the whole season I was thinking Toronto and Winnipeg might be tough obstacles, but he's building something for next year. New owner, new influx of talent, some young talents, a good Quebecois talent. They're winning down the stretch. And I had this thing, delighted with the Grey Cup though I am, I had this thing trending towards next year, which brings me to next year. You have a Grey Cup now in your back pocket, and you still are, in my opinion, a team that's building with trajectory. What does the future look like for you? How excited are you for next year, building maybe a chance to be this competitive again and maybe bring another championship back?
Well, we're all extremely excited. Yeah, the context has changed. If you just go back 12 months ago, we couldn't keep anybody here. Now we've got a nucleus, we've got a foundation in place. We've just had some exit meetings here. A lot of these guys would love to come back. Um, I'm anticipating that there's going to be some free agents that are going to want to come here and be part of this organization. So we're at two different extremes as we speak, and I think we can. I think we can sustain this. I think we can get on a run here. We've got a young football team. We've got enough of a veteran presence that if we can stay healthy and come together the way we came together this year, I think we're going to be in the conversation. And at the end of the day, my job is to make sure that we're always in the conversation every single year. But I think that's a possibility with what we've just been able to accomplish here over a short period of time. So there's a lot of positives. There's a lot of excitement in the air. Now it's just a question of keeping the continuity and trying to sustain it for the next little while.
Well, I tell you what, man. I told you before, I'm a lifelong Alouettes fan, and you gave me a great moment selfishly. You gave Alouettes fans across the country a great moment. That was one of the best damn football games I've ever seen. And I feel like a little child, with a goofy good mood going on for the past few days. It's just nice to have a team you cheer for win a championship. It's nice to see a team of destiny pull it off, and it's nice to see you write the story the way you're writing it. So we're grateful you joined us. We're extremely happy for you for winning a championship, and make sure you come back and see us again sometime soon. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and yeah, would love to do it again.
We look forward to it. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Danny.
Danny Maciocia, General Manager of the Montreal Alouettes, and he is a Grey Cup champion. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, not just an amazing CFL story, an amazing football story. That game was epic. It was entertaining. It had a surprise outcome. It had a team that was thought to be an improbable champion. I'm excited about it because I like the Alouettes, but that was just a fine football moment in general, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It was good for the CFL too. You know, there's so much focus on the NFL these days, so it was good to have a great Grey Cup finish, and it was good to have a team like Montreal back in it again. Of course, I kind of root for the Red Blacks, and hopefully they'll have their day again too. But I think the Alouettes last time they won was 2010, and maybe even that was the last time they were in it. So it's good to see a team like Montreal who hadn't been in it in a while. Good for the city of Montreal, good for the CFL to have them, make it to the Grey Cup and win. So, and as you said, it was an exciting finish, and it was great to have Danny on the show. We have a lot of mutual friends in the football world, including my buddy Pat Joy. I'll give him a little shout out, and it was great to talk to Danny. I hope he gets to enjoy the Grey Cup for a few more days before he starts, thinking of next season.
Well, that's probably the blessing of his job, and the problem with his job is that you win the championship, you have the parade. He mentioned he's going to the Vanier Cup. He's probably going there to scout players as well. His job never ends. Very very quickly before we wrap this up, Chris, based on your experience, and I know you're also a super fan, why is it the CFL, in your opinion, in the final minute 30, 2 minutes of the game, the complexion of the game always changes? We see quarterbacks go 2-0 for 3 quarters. And then they make it to the final 2 or 3 minutes of a game, and they march 90 yards down the field and give us a thrilling photo finish, or at least close to a thrilling photo finish. Why is the league wired that way? Is it the field size? Is it the number of downs? Is it purely schemes? Like, what's your take on that?
Well, sometimes it's just the urgency, like at the end of the game, okay, now we got to do it. Like, this is it. We got to move the ball and score. But let's say if we're comparing it to the NFL, I played American football and I played Canadian football, and the biggest thing I noticed was there's just a lot more possessions in Canadian football. So that's the biggest thing in American football. You could only get the ball maybe once or twice in the fourth quarter, especially if the other team's running the ball a lot with that extra down. There's a lot fewer possessions in the NFL, although that's changed nowadays. You see a lot more comebacks in the NFL than 20 years ago, but in the CFL, there's way more possessions, so way more opportunities. And way more opportunities to come back if you're down by 17 points, if you're down by 3 scores, even in the fourth quarter. In Canadian football, there's more possessions, so you have more opportunities to maybe come back and win it at the end.
And last question, Chris, before we wrap this up. Cody Fajardo, I liked him in Saskatchewan. I liked him in Nevada. I remember his NCAA career. He's obviously the biggest part of his biography or his resume is his rushing ability, his running ability. Very physically strong quarterback who can run with the ball. Did we sell him short on his arm? Because those were two Hall of Fame passes to end that game. And a lot of people, including the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, did not think he had it in him.
I didn't follow him that closely because he was playing for Saskatchewan, I guess, out west. But the thing I saw about him was just the fire that he has. Even that speech he gave the night before the game, that's stuff I didn't know about him. So that extreme competitive fire, which you need, he definitely has. And like you said, those last couple of passes, that 3rd and 5, everyone thought the play before the touchdown, everyone thought they were just going to go for the first down. And in fact, the slot back ran an out and the corner jumped on it. That's why the wideout was so wide open, because everyone thought they were just going to try to get a first down there on the 3rd and 5, but they went deep and he got nailed as he threw that. And he got nailed on the last play of the game when he scored a touchdown. He just got that away too. So arm strength, yeah, he definitely showed it on those 2 plays. But what I like about him the most is just the competitive fire that he has.
Yeah, and I tell you, that competitive fire makes him quite the man in Montreal, in a city that celebrates its champions and celebrates its championship moments. Cody Fajardo will never have to buy a drink again in the city of Montreal. He, in 1 year, he has cemented a pretty special status. That will wrap up this episode of the Scramble podcast. We want to thank Danny Maciocia, General Manager of the Grey Cup champion Montreal Alouettes, for joining us. Chris lined that up. That's what we call a good get in the business, Chris. So good job by you, and huge props for you for helping us secure him. Thank everybody for watching once again. On behalf of Chris Flynn, I am Paul Hollingsworth. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time here on the Scramble podcast.